In this episode of Star Wars Legion, the rules, we are going to go over the variation of tokens. Hello there, Board Game Maniacs, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Star Wars Legion, The Rules. Now, in this episode, if you've been following along this whole theme month or this series that we are putting out, we try to break down the rules and explain them so they're more simplified than what they already are simplified. But I have a little bit of trouble with these rules. So by doing this, it's helping myself as well as anybody else who wants rules clarification for Star Wars Legion. Now, having said that, if I do happen to make any rules errors, or if I forget to mention certain rules regarding the title of each video, please comment down below, refer to a page number in what rule book, and just let us know, because this is an entire learning experience for everybody, including myself who was watching this at the time. Furthermore, before we get any further, the entire video series is based on this version 1.6.1 of rules that was released in February 28th of 2020. However, now, since we've been doing these videos, a new version of rules have been released, and I'm just flipping over here, and this is taken off of the Fantasy Flight's website. Too, as well, you can just look them up or look up Star Wars Legion and it'll direct you to it. This version, new rule set, is 1.7. And down here, you can't hardly see a lot of it, but this is what the new rules entitles, what the entries are for it. Again, we are still going off of the rule set of 1.6.1, but if anything else comes up and for discussion for version 1.7, that's alternative, I will try to mention it. But just remember, the primary rules that we're using is the ones that were out in February of 2020. So having said that, let's go on to the tokens, and we may touch upon the tools, measuring tools, range tools, and everything in this scenario tools. Well, not scenario, but game. But now I'm starting to ramble. Let's go and look at all the tokens. Before we get started with actually looking at the physical copies of the tokens, a word is that I probably don't have all of the tokens that are included into the game, and the reason why, because I probably don't have some of the expansions that contain the tokens, different tokens, and plus because more expansions are coming out all the time by Fantasy Flight Games for this game, Star Wars Legion. I just don't have it. So if I'm missing anything, please comment down below and let me know what the suppression token, so everybody can read the comment and know exactly what it is. The tokens, that is. So in front of you, you see suppression tokens. We have a single suppression token and a triple suppression token. Now, what suppression tokens are is, actually, I'm just going to read the book. It's page 72 of the rule book. Units that gain suppression tokens various ways. Units with suppression tokens improve their cover, but can suffer penalties when they are activated. When a unit gains a suppression token, a player takes the suppression token from the supply and places it into the battlefield next to the unit. So a miniature would be here, and if they gain a suppression token, you just put it beside them. If a trooper unit has one or more suppression tokens assigned to it, that unit improves its cover by one when defending against range attacks. Pretty much, if a unit is out in the open, or a miniature or low miniature, don't matter, and they have a suppression token onto them, they're considered to have light cover, and we all know what light cover does. If you're not sure, just refer back to the rules video that I did previously for the cover. The main way that you can get suppression tokens on your unit is when it is being fired upon and it actually hits you and you fail to dodge the hits, you're going to get a suppression token. It don't matter if they hit you 5 times or 1 time, you'll get a suppression token. And the next time they shoot at you, you can gain another suppression token, and so on. I have a shot of the token of a 3 suppression token. Now, during the rally step, which is a part of the phases into the game, that you want to try to get rid of suppression tokens. So during your rally, depending on how many suppression tokens, you're going to roll white defense die to try to remove them suppression tokens. So in this example, we have 3, just say we have 3 suppression tokens onto a unit. So then we're going to take 3 white defense die and we roll it. And you can see here that I actually rolled 3 blanks. So that means I will not remove any suppression tokens. But for instance, just say that on the roll, because my rolls really suck, I got 1 block and the surge onto the white defense side. In that case, as long as you get any, I call it ink, but any marks on the die or pips on the dice, you remove that many suppression tokens. So where I just say hypothetically rolled 2, then that 3 would be gone and I replaced with only 1, because there was 3, because I rolled 3 white dice, defense dice. So I failed 1 on the roll, so I still have the 1 suppression token. And that's for during the rally step. Now, on the end phase 2 as well, when you play the game, which is the end of that phase, you remove a suppression token, 1 suppression token from each unit that has a suppression token. So be aware of that too as well, that you can remove 1 during the end phase. You can see here we have Captain Rex, the Clone Captain Rex card, and 3 suppression tokens. Now, the reason why I did this, because if you look in Captain Rex's card, his courage value is 2, because that icon there is the suppression tokens. Now, in the book on page 72, it does state, if a trooper unit ever has a number of suppression tokens assigned to them equal or greater than the unit's courage value, which this would be a good example, they become suppressed. And what suppressed means is that they will only have 1 action instead of the 2 assigned actions per activation. A good point to note though is a unit cannot lose an action during or due to the gain suppression token and being suppressed after it has already performed its rally step. Nor can a unit regain a lost action by removing suppression tokens to no longer be suppressed. So after the rally step, if they gain another suppression token, this is just, I know it's kind of high, but I'm just as an example, they become suppressed after perform the rally step. They cannot lose an action. This is after the rally step. And also too as well, like I said, if you remove a suppression token, like so, I'm just following the rule book here. I just read it and I lost my train of thought. Sorry about that. It loses 1 of its 2 action activation. Nor can a unit regain a last action by removing suppression tokens to no longer be suppressed. So if they went from 3 to 2 during the rally step, I don't have another one of the suppression tokens, so but just say there's 2 there. Actually, instead of just say, I'm going to grab another one here just so that we are on the same page. So after the rally step, during the rally step they had 3. They rolled, they removed 1, then they have 2. But because they have equal to or higher than the courage value, they will lose one of their actions. And just say, for instance, during the round, they lose another suppression token. They're still going to be suppressed, even though if they lost it during the round. The thing is during the rally step, they have become suppressed. So because of that, they still become suppressed, and they only have 1 action. Another example is immediately after the rally step of a trooper's unit activation, if that unit has a number of suppression tokens equal to or greater than twice its courage value. So in this example, they have Captain Rex has a courage value of 2, but he has 4 suppression tokens, which is double the amount of suppression. where was I? Oh, I lost train of thought. No. If that unit has a number of suppression tokens equal or greater than twice its courage value, it panics. During the panicked unit's activation, it cannot perform free actions and must use its entire activation to perform a single move at its maximum speed as directly as possible towards the nearest edge of the battlefield. So pretty much, Captain Rex, if he panicked, he can't do any of his free actions, and his 2 activations that any unit usually gets during the game, during the round, they can't use. They only use one to move their max speed, which in this case, Captain Rex is 2, towards the closest table edge. If the unit leader ends this movement with any part of its base outside the battlefield, the unit is defeated. So if they have any part of their base, the unit leader has any part of the base on the outside of the table edge, it's gone, they're done. They panicked, they ran away. If a unit is at range 1 to 3 of a friendly commander, it may use a commander's courage value instead of its own when checking to see if it's panicked. Pretty much what it means is, just say that this kind of is a different realm, but a clone trooper unit was here and it was within 1 to 3 range of Captain Rex. To see if it's panicked, if they would go by Captain Rex's courage value instead of their own courage value. Another good thing to note here, and we're talking about displacement for vehicles. So when a vehicle displaces a trooper, the trooper will gain a suppression token, but it can't gain more than 1 suppression token because of a displacement. We'll talk about displacement when we get on to like the movement videos and so on, but just be aware of suppression. You will get a suppression token if a unit is displaced. Next thing we're talking about is surge tokens. So this is a surge token right here, and on page 72 as well, during the convert attack surge step of an attack, and again, we'll be going over all of this in a later video. So just say, for instance, during the attack, you rolled one of these, which is a surged icon onto an attack die, and you have one of these surge tokens, then what you could do is you could spend that surge token to convert it to an extra hit. That's really cool. It can be powerful. Now, it also works in defense too as well. So during defense, if you roll a surge token for your defense, and you have a surge, if you roll a surge icon, I should say, and you have a surge, you can spend that to change that to a block, which is, again, very powerful tool to have in your arsenal. One other final note to talk about this surge token is during the end phase, all unspent surge tokens are returned to the supply. So this don't stay with you for each round. So at the end of the round, when you're on the end phase, if you don't use it, it is just simply gone. Next token we're going to talk about is the aim token. Now you see 2 different tokens. We have the aim and dodge. They're kind of, they kind of work in similar ways. So, but this one is the aim token, that is the dodge token. So first off, we're going to talk about the aim token. Now the aim token, on page 14, units can gain aim tokens that allow them to roll dice during an attack. So, for one of your actions, you can claim that you want an aim token. And if you do have an aim token, when you are going to attack a unit, and just say you have 2 red attack dice. Actually, no, let's make it 3 red attack dice. It's a better example this way. So with the aim token, again, okay, I'm going to attack. I got 3 attack dice. I roll them, and I got 2 hits and a blank. So now what I could do is I could spend this aim token that allow me to re-roll any number of dice that I want. Well, not any number, up to 2 dice you can re-roll. So in this case, I got 1 blank and 2 successful hits. I'm going to want to re-roll this, so I spent my aim token and I got another blank. And what you could do, just say that this here was a surge and 2 hit tokens. You could spend your aim token and roll your 2 hits to hopefully get more surges. or more crits, I should say, not surges. So I got 2 crits, which we all know that if you're shooting at a unit that is in cover, crits cannot be blocked by cover. Only hits can be. So therefore, it'd be 2 of them going through, and if they had light cover, 1 hit would be gone. And that is spending your aim tokens to do that. Also on page 14, now I just added another, because you can have more than 1 aim token during your turn. Now, unit abilities and other effects can allow units to gain aim tokens. If an effect specifically instruct a unit to gain an aim token, that effect is different than performing an aim action and therefore does not trigger abilities that occur after aim actions are performed. Pretty much, you know, as one of your 2 actions, you can do an aim, but you can have cards that give you extra aim tokens too as well. You can have more than 1 aim token during your turn very easily. And I got the hiccups again. So we already talked about spending an aim token. Now, just say for instance, yeah, we'll just leave it like that. Just say we spend 1 to reroll. Just say we reroll and it's blank. Now, an aim token, you can reroll up to 2 dice, but you can't roll the same die twice for the aim token. So just be aware of that. You can spend this to roll. It's still another blank. But you can't say, okay, well, I got 2 rerolls, so I'm going to do it again if you only have 1 aim token. But where you have 2 aim tokens, you can say, okay, I'm spending the other aim token to reroll again. Ah, I got a crit this time. Awesome. So that is another way about aim tokens and how they work. One final note about aim tokens is at the end phase, at the end of the end phase, all aim tokens are not kept on the unit. They're simply removed. If you don't use them, they're gone. We're going to look at the dodge tokens now. Now, on page 38 of the rule book, there's a section there for dodges too as well. And just be aware that this is the dodge token, what it looks like. Now, as an action, you can gain a dodge token. So you got 2 actions. Your first action could be move or shoot or what have you. And your second action could be dodge, or you could dodge first. And this will move around the board with the unit. But at the end phase, just like the aim tokens, they're gone. Now, how you use dodge tokens is, just say that somebody shot at you and you have 2 dodge tokens. So the enemy who shot at you, they got 2 hits and a crit. What they can do is spend 1 dodge token to remove a hit. A dodge token cannot be used, unfortunately, to remove a crit though. They only will remove hits. So therefore, this crit would go through. You had 2 dodge tokens that you spent. So because of that, it's only a crit going through. A couple of things to note about here is when a unit spends a dodge token to trigger the deflect keyword that might be onto one of your unit cards, just an example, you are going to receive the benefit of the dodge token as well as the addition of the effect for deflect. So you will use the dodge token, and then you can also get the benefits from the keyword of deflect. One more interesting key note to pay attention to is, even though that, just say that a unit has attacked you and they have hit you with nothing, you can still spend a dodge token to, even though you didn't get hit, just say that you had a keyword that you have to spend the dodge token to activate it, even though you didn't take any hits. So this should have been blank. Where's it at? Blank, I said. Blank. I can roll it pretty easily. That's what I probably should have done instead. So right now, 3 blanks, but you have a keyword that you can activate by spending a dodge token. You don't have to get a hit to spend it. You can spend it even though that nothing was hit onto you, so that you can use the keyword or what the keyword does for you by spending a dodge token. Next, let's talk about vehicle damage tokens. So here you can see 3 tokens that are onto the card, and also too as well is the Rebel ATRT card. So on the right hand side, you see a cogwheel in orange with 4 onto it. Now, What that means is that when a vehicle suffers wounds equal to or exceeds its resilient value, and in this case the ATRT has a 4 resilience value, the player that controls the vehicle rolls a red defense die, and the vehicle gains a type of vehicle damage token as determined by the dice roll. And then you have to look at resilience, which is on page 66. And we're going to talk about resilience now for this. Here's an example. So the ATRT has 4 wounds onto it. And it's kind of shiny there, you can't see it, but they have a resilience of 4. So therefore you're going to have to take a red defense die and roll it and determine what type of damage your vehicle is going to have. Now on page 66 it does tell you the 3 different types of damage a vehicle can take. So the shield token is damaged. If the result is a block, which is a block on the defense side, the unit is damaged and gains a damage token. When the player activates a damage token unit, they roll a white defense die. If the result is blank, the vehicle performs 1 fewer actions during their activation. This is the damage token for the vehicle. So when you roll your red defense die, and if you get a shield, you get this token onto your vehicle. And that means you are going to take 1 fewer action. So again, on page 66, this is into the newer rule book, because they changed the page rules around a little bit, but it's under the resilience section. And for damage, if the result is a block, the unit damage, where am I at? I just lost that. Yeah, damn it, there it is. If the result is a block, the unit is damaged and gains a damage token. When the player activates a damaged unit, they roll a white defense die. If the result is blank, the vehicle performs 1 fewer actions during the activation. So just say they rolled this and they got a damage token, which is this. So on their activation, they're going to roll a white defense die. And if they roll a blank, they get 1 fewer action. But if they roll anything but a blank, they're okay, they get their 2 actions. If you're rolling on your vehicle defense die and you roll the red and you get a blank, then you're going to have one of these tokens, and this token is a disabled token. If the result is blank, the unit is disabled and gains a disabled token. A unit that is disabled cannot reverse and must spend 2 actions to perform a standard move. So if you have equal to or higher than, or there we go, better just show this, get in focus. So you can see here for the ATRT, they have a resilience of 4, so if they take 4 wounds, then they're going to have to roll onto the damage table for the vehicle. And if they roll that and they get a blank, then pretty much you're going to get, like I said, the disabled one, and they spend 2 actions to perform a standard move if they're going to move. That is that for that part. Now, if they roll on the vehicle chart and they get the surge symbol, they are going to get one of these tokens right here. Let me move that up just a little bit. There we go. And this is a weapons disrupted. If the result is a defense surge, one of the unit's weapons is disrupted. The player's opponent chooses one of that unit's weapons, and a weapon disrupt token is placed on the corresponding card. When adding that weapon to an attack pool, only half its dice can be added, of any color rounding up. Pretty much, just to sum that up, is if they roll the surge and for their defense on the resilience chart, and they get this symbol, then the opponent, not the person who owns the vehicle, but the opponent, will place this token on one of the weapons that are attached or equipped to that vehicle. And they are going to have half the amount of dice, and they round up. That is going to be a pretty devastating thing, especially if you attach a really powerful weapon to a vehicle and you know it's just obliterating almost everybody on the battlefield, and then all of a sudden you get damage equal to the resilience of the vehicle, and then you unfortunately roll that, and your opponent's going to put that on obviously the card that does the most devastating damage, and it's going to hinder you in the long run, and that is a very, very bad thing. I apologize for struggling for the explanation for these three because I always get them mixed up. So therefore I have to really refer to the manual and make sure that everything is correct. And again, page 66 of the updated rule set, it does explain this. Or if you got the old rule set, it still does explain it. I think there's maybe a couple of things, keywords that are changed up a little bit, but for the most part, it's the same, and that's how you do that. Now, another couple of key things I want to point out about this is, just say for instance your vehicle already received one of these wounds. You're not going to get another of the same token on the same vehicle. You can't have two of the same vehicle damage tokens, so just be aware of that you can't do that. What else does it say here that I can talk about? A vehicle already has wounds equal or exceeding its resilience value or receives a vehicle damage token. The player doesn't need to roll a red defense die when that vehicle suffers wounds. So if you already have this and you suffer more wounds, you're not going to have to roll the red defense die because you already have it on there. Again, you can't have more than one of the same token onto your vehicle. I'm struggling for this really bad. Some vehicle units do not have a resilience values. These units have like a dash presented on their unit card where resilience value would normally be. A vehicle unit without a resilience value cannot be damaged, disabled, or have one of its weapons disrupted. That is a very good thing to note too as well. So if you look here, again, I'm picking on the ATRT here, but you see the cog wheel in the 4 in the orange. If it had a cog wheel in orange and then it had just a dash, that means you don't have any resilience value, so it will not be able to get any of these tokens at all. Next token is the panic token. Now, we already talked briefly about the panic token when we talked about the suppression tokens, but just to continue on with this, it's on page 59 in the rule book, and a unit with the keywords jump X, reposition, or spur, S-P-U-R, must use these keywords if they will enable it to move towards the edge of the battlefield efficiently as possible. So again, if they're panicked and they have them keywords, they have to use that to move to the edge of the battlefield. A panic unit cannot perform free actions. We already talked about that. A panic unit that is compelled to move vertically to move off the battlefield must clamber when doing so. And we did talk about clamber in the terrain video, so if you're not sure what clamber is, just go back to that and you can refresh onto that. A panic unit must withdraw if it is engaged, moving towards the closest edge of a battlefield. So that is a big thing. So if a unit is panicked, it must withdraw. So be aware of that as well. A panic unit cannot move into a melee with an enemy unit. So if you're panicked, you can't go in melee because you're panicked, you're too scared, and you're not going to go in melee. Next token we're going to talk about is the standby token. Now these standby tokens, they are listed on page 70 of the rule book, and it does state trooper and ground vehicles can perform a standby action. A unit can only perform the standby action if it has not performed an attack during its activation. So if you attacked for your first action, you can't say, I'm going to have a standby action because you already did an attack action. That is if you haven't performed an attack action during your activation. After an enemy unit attacks, move, or performs an action, if that unit is at range 1 to 2 and in line of sight of the unit with the standby token, the unit may spend the standby token to perform a free attack action or a free move action. So, pretty much, if an enemy unit is within range 1 or 2 and does an action, whether it's move, attack, what have you, and the defending unit or the other unit that's within range 1 or 2, the opposing unit, I guess is the best word, has a standby action, then it can perform a free attack or a free move action. A trooper unit gains a suppression token or performs a move, an attack, or an action. It removes any standby tokens it has. So again, if a trooper unit gains a suppression token or performs a move or attack or an action, it removes any standby tokens to that. So it don't matter if you have 4 standby tokens or what have you, they would all be removed, which is a good thing to know. That also goes for any ground vehicles too as well. You can remove them by doing that too, by an attack, a move, or an action. A unit cannot have more than 1 standby token. So what I said before is wrong, where if you have multiple standby tokens, you can't. You can only have 1. A unit cannot spend more than 1 standby token per instance of being able to spend standby tokens, even if that unit is able to spend standby tokens from other units. Standby tokens can be spent only during the activation phase. Again, standby, it's activation phase. You can't do it out of your activation. During the end phase, all unspent standby tokens are returned to the supply. So if you don't use it on your activation, it's gone. Another important thing to note here is a standby token may be spent before, again, before is the key word here, any effect that triggers after an attack action, move, or move action. And this is all found on page 70, and I got a really good example, which I'm not going to go over, for the before any effect that triggers the one that I just said. It's very important, so if you're unclear about that, the example will definitely help you out. Next, what you see here are wound tokens. They come in singles or 3s, and pretty much what it is when a unit gets a wound, you get a wound token added to it. Pretty self-explanatory, don't have to go over it any more than that. The tokens on the screen now, these are deployment markers. So when you're setting up your deployment zone for, I discussed this too as well in a previous video, but when you're setting up your deployment zone, and if it's kind of a wonky shaped one, you can put these down, you know, turn them whatever way you want to determine where that deployment zone is going to be, and within the range in there that you're going to put your unit. So pretty easy. I didn't really have to talk about that there, but it's good because when I first opened these up, I'm like, what the heck are these for? I thought they were maybe like a lightsaber, you can curve them, or shooting around corners or what have you, but they are deployment markers. These tokens are condition tokens. They are on page 28, and it gives a whole, it's only a little list of what it is, but they're two-sided. If they're this way and they don't have any dots, they're face down, and if they're like that, they're face up. Now, there's a couple of rules with the condition tokens where when you're moving miniatures, you can move over them, but you can't overlap them. And you can't put terrain on top of these condition tokens too as well. What else can I say about this? Yeah, you can't put them underneath terrain. You know, there's going to be some condition cards that will tell you specifically what each of these are used for in this said scenario that you're going to be playing. After player unit leader uses the resupply keyword to interact with the face down condition token, such as this one right here, that player flips the condition token from face down to face upside and places it back onto the battlefield in the same position and in base contact with the unit leader. Like so, if the unit leader was here. After a player's unit leader uses the resupply, I already did that. I already said that, blah. When a player's unit leader uses the resupply keyword, again, resupply keyword, that player draws 2 supply cards from the supply deck, choosing one to equip to that unit, and shuffle the other card back into supply deck. So just, again, condition tokens, and pretty much it'll tell you what each one of these will mean onto the condition cards. If it's face down, they don't have any dots onto them. If it's face up, it's going to have some dots too as well. So that's pretty much it for the condition tokens. And if you want to know more about it, page 28 on the right hand side. And page 29's got a little bit of a, it continues on briefly for that too as well. We have objective tokens. Now, there's double-sided. There's the bright side and the blue side, or red side, blue side. Blue side is when it is unclaimed, and red is when it is claimed. And these objective tokens work with objective cards. And just like the other tokens, you can't you can pass through them, but you can't overlap the objective tokens. And this is on page 56 and 57 too as well. And only unit leaders can claim an objective token. To claim an objective token, the unit leader must be in base contact with the objective token. So they have to be touching the objective token to claim it. But if it is already claimed, break side, that means they can't claim it again because it's already unclaimed. It's already claimed. But unclaimed, you can certainly do it, which you would, again, flip over to claimed side. I'm just reading here. Battlefield, same position, blah, blah, blah. After a player's unit leader with a claimed objective token performs a move, the player picks up the claimed objective token and places it anywhere in base contact with the unit leader. So again, when it's claimed, it's going to be in base contact with the unit leader. One thing to note about this is when a unit leader has claimed an objective token, and once they are defeated or panicked, it is flipped back over to unclaimed and is left on the battlefield where it is, and so others can claim, other unit leaders from different units can claim it too as well. One more final note to talk about these objective tokens is wound tokens are only placed on objective tokens through the sabotage/repair keyword. So it has to have the sabotage or repair keyword. The objective tokens cannot suffer wounds from attacks or from any game effect other than the sabotage or repair keyword. That is the only way for wound tokens to be placed on them. These are charge tokens, and on page 21 it talks about charge tokens. It's only a small little blurb about this. It says each charge token has a unique type that can be identified by a unique icon on the charge token itself. Each charge token type matches an ARM X charge type keyword and a detonate X charge type keyword that indicates how the token is placed on the battlefield and how it is detonated. So yes, and you can see they're double-sided, and also some of them look a little differently than this here. This is just the ones that I have right at the present moment. Charge tokens cannot overlap any objective, condition, or other charge tokens and must be placed on a flat surface completely flush with the surface. So it has to be on a flat, flush surface. When placing charge tokens, the blue player should place their charge token with the blue side face up, and the red player should place the charge token with the red side face up. So as you can see, this would be a red player's charge token, and that would be the blue player charge token. And that's pretty much it for charge tokens. Pretty easy. These ones here, they're smoke tokens. Whoa. And it's on page 88. And for smoke tokens, clouds of smoke on the battlefield can tactically provide cover to troops. So again, these can give you cover for troops that are onto the battlefield. If a troop leader is within range 1 of this, then that unit has cover. It improves the cover by 1. Defending improves the cover by 1. Smoke tokens are removed at the end of each round. So again, if you don't use them, they're gone. A vehicle unit at range 1 of a smoke token does not improve its cover. And units defending against a vehicle unit whose unit leader is at range 1 of a smoke token do not improve their cover. During the end phase, all smoke tokens are returned to the supply. We already said that. Effects that improve units' cover are cumulative, so they can keep adding. So just be aware of that. So this is going to improve your cover by 1 as long as your unit leader is within range 1 of a smoke token. Tokens on the board now are shield tokens, and they're on page 69 of the rulebook. And there's two sides. There's active and inactive. And pretty much shield tokens can cancel both hits and crits. So if you roll a crit and a hit and you have 2 shield tokens, you can activate them to cancel them, which is really, really cool that it does even crit tokens, because, you know, crits are bad. Keynote to talk about the shield tokens is if an attack pool has the Ion X keyword during the apply dodge and cover step of an attack, the defender must apply any other effects such as dodge tokens and cover before flipping active shield tokens. Then, for each hit or crit result remaining up to X, where X is the value of the Ion X keyword, the defender must flip an active shield token to its inactive side. Shield tokens flipped in this way do not cancel a hit or a critical result. After doing so, if any active shield tokens remain, the defender may flip them to cancel hit or crits, resulting as normal. And so, if you're using an ion from it, again, you're going to be doing your apply, your dodge, and your cover and everything, and then you're going to flip them over, and then just say, for instance, you have any left after you flipped over the value for the ion, then any hits or crits, you can use your shield to block them. That is what that tells us. Ion tokens are the blue ones that got like the electricity coming out of a triangle, I guess is the best way. You can see from the shape, there's a couple other tokens that are shaped the same way, but they're not colored blue. So I get them mixed up. I think I'm colorblind, but I'm not. But anyhow, on page 48, it does talk about the ion tokens. At the start of a unit's activation, if that unit has one or more ion tokens, it loses one action for each ion token. So if you have 2 ion tokens, you don't get to activate that unit. At the end of the unit's activation, it removes any ion tokens it has. So just say, for instance, it has 2 ion tokens, they activate, they can't really do anything, but then they end their activation and they remove the 2 ion tokens. Pretty simple. A vehicle or droid trooper unit that suffers wounds after defending against an attack that includes a weapon with the Ion X keyword gains X ion tokens. So X stands for the value. Even if it loses both of its actions due to ion tokens, a unit can still perform free actions granted by abilities or upgrade cards. So that's a good thing to know, because if you have 2 ion tokens, you can't do your 2 main actions, but if you have anything that has for free actions or any other actions that are listed on cards, then you at least can do those. And that is a good thing, because Brady and I played before and he used a weapon with ion tokens and I was pretty much dead in the water until I removed them. Here are immobilized tokens. They're on page 48, and when I say 48, it's on page 48 immobilized token. I'm just reading here of the new printout. So just be aware of that when I say page 48. For this one, it is on the new printout for the new upgrade. As I said in the beginning of the video, the new rule set has been released, so we're kind of using both of them. I have marked off in the book which are the new pages and which are not. And this is one of the new pages for this token here, which is the immobilized token. And it does state, a unit's maximum speed is reduced by 1 for each immobilized token it has. A unit whose maximum speed is 0 and has at least 1 immobilized token cannot perform moves or of any kind. At the end of a unit's activation, it removes any immobilized tokens that it has. A unit with 1 or more immobilized tokens can still perform Speed X moves or have Speed X moves performed with it through effects that occur outside of its activation, even if it is a maximum speed of 0. That's a good thing to know. When a unit performs a move, apply any effects that increase the unit's maximum speed up to 3 speed before applying any effects that reduce the unit's maximum speed. So again, the key thing here is before applying any effects that reduce the unit's maximum speed. And again, they look a lot like the ion tokens, but again, the red, same shape, but these are red and they're blue. And like I said, I always get them mixed up. And there's also these tokens here, which are yellow in the same shape, but these are poison tokens. So let's talk about the poison tokens next. On page 59, poison tokens. At the end of a unit's activation, it suffers 1 wound for each poison token it has, then discard each poison token it has. So if you have 2 of these at the end of your activation, you're going to suffer 2 wounds and then they are gone. So for each poison token you have attached to your unit, you're going to suffer that many wounds at the end of your activation. If more than 1 effect takes place at the end of a unit's activation, The player that controls that unit decides the order of these effects. Vehicles and droid trooper units cannot gain poison tokens. ID tokens. These can come in handy. You know, on page 47, and the page 47 of this is on the new printout. So the new rules, page 47. And for this, for the, I'm losing my track. ID tokens, there it is. So ID tokens, I'll just read what it says in the book. They're pretty self-explanatory. ID tokens help players keep track of multiple units of the same type that have different upgrade cards. When deploying such units, place your unique ID token near the base of the unit leader for each unit. Then place each unit's matching ID token on the corresponding card. So if you have like 3 units of stormtroopers, you're going to have ID tokens. Just this is an example of a 6. And if you flip it over, it has a 6 with the white. So the matching white will go on either by the unit leader or on the unit cards, and then the other one that is matching will go on to the other one, which could be the unit leader or the cards, vice versa, don't matter. But that's what these are, just ID tokens, so you can keep track of what unit is which. The token you see now are command tokens. Now, command tokens can play a very important part, because when you have a commander in a standard 800-point game, or 2 commanders is the max you can have in a standard 800-point game, and just say, for instance, one or both of them have been eliminated, which means you have no more commander for the game. So then you are going to take one of your units and you are going to promote them to command unit or commander unit. So you would place this next to the unit that you want for the commander, and then you would take their normal, just say it was a core unit and it has the command token of the core unit. You would take that core unit out and you would use the token for the command to activate them from that point on. And that's pretty much sums up everything for the command tokens, and that is on page 26 on the right hand side if everybody wants to know and read a little bit more in depth for that. Another token are wheel mode tokens, and this is on page 79 of the rule book. A unit with the wheel mode keyword can transform into a swift wheel to traverse the battlefield rapidly. At the start of its activation, a unit with the wheel mode keyword can increase its maximum speed to 3 until the end of that activation. If it does, until the end of the round, it gains cover 2. So at the start of your activation, you can go into wheel mode, and if you do, you're going to gain cover 2 and you have max speed of 3. But you cannot attack or flip active shield tokens if you're in wheel mode. A unit can enter wheel mode only at the start of its activation. So you can't do it in the middle of your activation. It has to be at the very start. You can say, okay, well, like the droidicas, for an example, they have wheel mode. So if you want to use them in wheel mode, you have to declare that at the start of your activation. And while in wheel mode, a unit cannot flip shield tokens and to their inactive side to add block results while defending. So another thing with droidicas, they do have shield tokens, but when they're in wheel mode, they can't flip their active shield tokens to inactive to do blocks. Very important. To indicate that a unit of droidicas is using wheel mode, a player may replace their standing droidica miniature with ball form droidica minis, or simply mark the unit with a wheel mode token. So I do know that with droidicas you get 2 different types of miniatures. You can get them standing or wheel mode. You don't have to use the wheel mode if you don't want to, because you could just place this here token down instead of switching it out, because sometimes when you're playing it, it's a pain to switch out the miniatures. I know it's only a second or 2 to do, but in either case, it can be a pain. Let me see what else. Players should use the ball form droidica minis only when the unit uses the wheel mode keyword, and only for the duration of that round. At the end of the round, any ball form droidica minis should be replaced with standing droidica minis. So if you go on wheel mode at the start of your activation, at the end of your activation, you're going to get them back to standing straight up instead of into the ball form. That is it for all of the tokens that I have in my collection for Star Wars Legion by Fantasy Flight Games. There is more tokens that you can get when you buy expansion packs, but I either don't have the expansion packs yet, or I purchased them and never opened them yet. So in either case, just be aware there is more tokens that you can get for this massive token game. When I say token game, there's a lot of tokens into the miniatures and dice and cards and everything. It's a great game. I love it. Anyhow, the reason why I'm showing you these cases is because it has so many tokens and dice. I like to try to keep things as organized as possible. So what I did is I went to like a local art store and I picked up these cases. And as you can see, I got all of my tokens and my dice and also my command tokens, which I never talked about, but I did talk about in another video what these are. And I did talk about the coin protectors that you can put them in and the size. So check that out too as well on the channel if you haven't looked at it already. But in either case, this keeps everything organized so you can find things quickly. And again, the more I purchase and the more that I open for different tokens, I'm sure I'm going to have to get more cases to add more to it and try to keep them as organized as possible, because it is a very token heavy game, just like Fantasy Flight's X-Wing and so on. So again, just this is how I organize everything. You can do that. I would like to hear your thoughts on how you organize yours. If you got a better way of organizing, by all means, please tell me, because I have a lot of boxes that I have to open, and I know I'm going to have more tokens and so on. So I need to see if there's any other way that'd be better for organizing this. Whew. In either case, thank you for joining me for this video explaining all the tokens for Star Wars Legion by Fantasy Flight Games. I don't know how long this is. Hopefully it's not too long. It's not eating up into your important time. Comment down below. Let us know if we missed anything. And again, just refer to a page number in the rule book. What rule book? And be aware again what rule books I am going off of for these series of videos. I hope you found this video informative and helpful to help you with your Star Wars Legion. And if you didn't get Star Wars Legion yet, I don't know why, because it's a great game. You should try it out. Anyhow, join me next time for another Star Wars Legion rules video, and I'll see you on the flip side, and most importantly of all, and that is, be a maniac. I'll see you next time. Bye. Bye. Boo. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to keep up to date with Board Game Maniacs, click on the like and subscribe button to be notified when more videos come available. If you want to become an official sponsor of Board Game Maniacs, go to patreon.com/BoardGameManiacs. Or you can go to streamlabs.com/BoardGameManiacs1. That's right, and you can donate to help keep the lights on, keep food in our bellies, and play more games. We'll purchase more games, more equipment to make Board Game Maniacs evolve and get bigger and larger because of you, the viewers. I thank you from the bottom of my toes to the top of my head for all of your support. And until next time, Board Game Maniacs, be a maniac.